I'm hoping to do two things right now because I have a huge influx of eggs, but we've had a really wet spring, so I don't know if a lot of it's gonna work out. But one, I want to make a thing of mayo. I'm out. We need some. My kids have been asking for deviled eggs because we have an influx of eggs right now. I'd love to make deviled eggs, but I don't have any mayo, so we're gonna try to fix that. Number two, I want to pick through, I have a couple dozen eggs up here right now. I would love to get some water glassed, that way heading into winter when the chickens slow down, I have some water glassed eggs that I can pull off the shelf. I've never done this before, so it's gonna be something new for me, but because we've had a really wet, nasty spring, I don't know if you guys have seen it, but right now Wisconsin is completely, utterly flooded. A lot of towns kind of close to us have actually been completely evacuated because dams are failing all over, and just all towns are being flooded. Thankfully, where I am, I'm okay. Our dam has been like on the brink of being questionable, but nobody's had to evacuate yet. But that being said, I have really dirty eggs, but I need clean, unwashed eggs to water glass them. So I'm gonna pick through my bowls here, try to find as many clean, unwashed eggs that I have currently and get those glassed. Measure your water because for every quart it's a certain amount of pickling lime, so make sure that you're measuring how much water is coming into your jar here, and you definitely want to make sure that it's covering the eggs all the way. How many eggs you fit in each jar is going to depend on your size of your egg. I fit 14 in here, so just for reference, pickling lime for every quart of water in your jar, I did 2 quarts, so I'm gonna need 2 ounces of pickling lime. Seems like a lot of pickling lime. Spoons versus ounces, just to keep my life easy here. And it says about 2 tablespoons, I think is what it said. Yeah, 2 tablespoons is equivalent to an ounce. Now all that's left to do is mix this in. And then this is going to be ready to go downstairs, shelf stable. And we will be able to use these eggs in the cold months of winter when my chickens aren't laying as much. So that's what I'm going to do. I've never done this before. I'm not really nervous about it. Sometimes when you're trying new preservation methods, things can get a little dicey and you're feeling kind of weird about it. I'm actually excited about this. I don't plan on doing a ton of jars because I don't know, we might not like it or might not use it. So I'm going to do a couple jars this year just to try something new as I get eggs that qualify for this type of preservation method. Like I said, are probably going to be few and far between unless it dries up, because it's just been so wet. Most of my eggs are coming in looking really nasty, but project 1 is done for the day, which is great. Number 2, I want to make some mayo. Haven't done that in a hot while, or a hot minute as well, just because we've been kind of short on eggs. But now that we have a big supply, it is time to get back into making mayo. Mayo is super simple as long as you have the proper tools. An immersion blender being at the top of that list. I use this all the time in my kitchen. It was really cost efficient. We got this one at Walmart. It's a Hamilton Beach brand. I think it was like 20 or 25 bucks. It's been a couple of years since I purchased it. Price might be a little higher now because that's how things are these days. You're gonna need a jar. This recipe is best with farm fresh eggs just because you can verify that they're actually fresh. They're not washed or anything. Sitting like raw like that, uncooked, is where some of the issues can come sitting in your fridge. Please be the expert for your own home. If you're comfortable doing it in your home with store-bought eggs, that's totally fine. Personally, I would fall in that camp. Not everybody does, and if you're on the other end, no worries. But I'm using farm fresh eggs. I actually have one here that has a little bit of a crack in it. The kids got it this morning from the coop. So I'm going to use this one just so that I can use it before it goes bad. And that way, yeah, we'll test it first to make sure it's a good egg. But we're going to crack this and drop it right into the bottom of our jar here. I highly recommend a wide mouth jar so that your immersion blender can fit in it properly and do what you need it to do. So we're gonna drop this in the bottom of our jar here. And a little bit of mustard. We're gonna splash in a little bit of your acidic based thing, whether that be vinegar or lemon juice, lime juice, whatever you have. And we're gonna do, give or take, about a cup of oil. I'm just gonna use the measuring things here on the side of my jar to measure about where a cup is. 25. And then it's really easy. We're gonna put our immersion blender at the bottom of our jar and slowly lift it and work its way up, and you're gonna watch it whip into a really nice mayo. What my husband and I like to do sometimes, we'll actually put Cajun seasoning in this instead of salt, and it makes it like a Cajun mayo. Sometimes we'll pour in a little bit of our home canned hot sauce in here to make it like a hot sauce mayo. You can put pickle juice in here to make it a pickled mayo. Like, there's so many options, so get creative, but this is the base recipe for it. I'm leaving mine plain today because I just want to use this as plain Jane mayo for like potato salads coming up because the weather's getting nice, sandwiches, and like I said, all those deviled eggs that the kids want to do. So I'm going to put this all the way at the bottom. It got creamy, and that is the way to make mayo. Super quick, super easy. Now, storage wise, I'm sure I'm gonna get questions on. You could easily store this in your fridge just like this with either just like a lid and a ring. I like to save my rings that I've used, like you can see there's some writing on here, as they're used lids, so I can't, you're not supposed to use them for canning with skin. Some people do, you know, be the expert for your own home. But I like to save my used canning lids for things like this, where I'm just popping them in my fridge or something. And I know they're used because they're written on. And it will store in your fridge just like this. There are sometimes, Ball makes those screw-on lids that you can put on here, so you don't need a ring. That works too. Or I will link down below from Amazon. I got a pack of like 4 squeeze bottles where when we're like making our own barbecue sauce and our own ranch and our own mayo, make our own ketchup, things like that. Or you're just buying it in bulk, which we have done as well. You can just transfer it into the squeeze bottles. I don't think I have any up here right now. I think they're all downstairs, but they come in a 4-pack. They work really well. We really like them. They have a really wide opening and they open from both ends. So the top comes off and the bottom comes off. That way you can clean it really well. You can get like a bottle brush and actually get in there and clean it really well. So that way when you're putting different condiments in, it works really well. We've also used those for like chocolate fudge, for drizzling into like chocolate milk that we make from scratch. For the strawberry syrup, we'll use that to drizzle either in milk for strawberry milk or over ice cream or something like that. And they work really well. It's just right now I'm not using any. If I had one up here, I would transfer this mayo into that jar. But because I don't, I'm just going to leave this as is. And now I have my mayo restocked for probably two or 3 weeks or so. How long does this last in the fridge? I don't know, because I've never had it go bad in my fridge, but I've had it stocked in my fridge for like 2 months at a time, and I've never had an issue with it. You have to think this is all really shelf stable, especially when you're using farm fresh eggs. You have to remember unwashed eggs. I know they're still in the shell, so take this information with a grain of salt, but unwashed eggs still in the shell, not cracked, obviously, can last on your counter for like months at a time. If they're unwashed in the fridge, they can last months at a time. So these are my 2 egg projects that I wanted to get done today. Restocking mayo. I'm probably going to get a batch of hard-boiled eggs up on the counter because you guys saw the 2 buckets of eggs I have right now, but I also have 1, 2, 3, 4, I think 5 dozen washed eggs in my fridge. So we're going to use those today and make a big batch of probably deviled eggs and have them for probably homeschool co-op. We have co-op tomorrow, and I don't think anyone will complain if we bring a big batch of deviled eggs to co-op tomorrow. So let's go ahead and get those going, and then I'll show you guys how that mayo actually can be used in a practical form when we're going to go ahead and make deviled eggs. But this is ready to go on the shelf downstairs, and hopefully as I get more clean eggs that qualify, I will put these in more jars and I'd love to have a couple of jars of these on the shelf. That being said, this is a good application for, because these jars can be expensive, these half gallons. I think they're like, well, I guess in hindsight, they're not that much more expensive than a 12 pack of jars, but you only get 6 in a pack for these half gallons. I think they're like $15 for 6 jars. So I guess they are kind of expensive. I talked myself out of my original statement. This is a good application to save your store-bought jars, like those half-gallon pickle jars or anything that you buy in a glass jar in bulk from like Costco or a Sam's Club. I'm trying to think, like sometimes they have those like peaches in jars or pickles. Anything that's a glass jar like that, save those jars, save the caps, because they work really well in applications like this to reuse them. I know it's kind of a pain to store them, especially if you don't have a lot of space. I try to take advantage of that space. I save at least a handful of them all of the time, making sure that I have at least a couple of them on my shelf for applications like this, because I don't have to go out and purchase something for a preservation project like this. I only have a couple of these jars, and most of them I actually use for my homemade canning or my homemade cleaning supplies for like infused vinegars and things. So this is actually the only one I have in stock right now. Otherwise, I still had a couple of eggs that I could have put into a jar, but I don't have enough eggs to fill a jar, and I don't want to put half of a jar filled onto a shelf. So I'll wait a couple more days, hopefully get enough eggs to do another batch. Like I said, I got 14 in here, so just over a dozen, which I think is pretty good. And I know that heading into winter, I will be very grateful to have these on the shelf. So we'll see, maybe we'll crack these open and like, I don't know, I guess whenever the chickens and the ducks start slowing down, and we'll try some of these and see if, you know, there's really a difference or how my family likes these. We'll cook with these later on in the year. So make sure you subscribe if you want to see that. But let's go ahead. I'm going to get the kitchen a little bit of a reset. My sister's actually coming over today. We're going to celebrate her birthday. We've got a cookie cake here that the kids and I whipped up this morning. It's a very fun shape. And we've got some homemade frosting we have here. I'll link this cookie recipe. What is this? It's a fruit pizza recipe. I will link that one down below. It's a sourdough recipe. Very excited about that. I tasted a little bit of batter, and it actually tasted delicious. So I'm very excited to go ahead and try that. So I'm going to give my kitchen a little bit of a reset, a very slight cleanup before my sister gets here. And let's see how many eggs we can get up on the stove to boil.
Mom,